The Wisconsin dusk settled gently over Clover Hollow, painting the rolling fields in hues of amber and shadow. Anna Harper stood in the backyard of their weathered farmhouse, her brown hair loose, her wool sweater soft against the evening chill. At 36, the graphic designer felt the weight of 3 years' grief, her heart still raw from losing her son, Noah, to a sudden illness. Her 10-year-old daughter, Lily, played near the meadow's edge, her blonde hair glinting under a hoodie, her laughter rare since Noah's death. David Harper, 38, his black hair tousled, his leather jacket worn, stacked firewood by the porch, his carpenter's hand steady, but his eyes distant. Their farmhouse, nestled miles from town, was meant to be a sanctuary, but it had become a quiet prison of unspoken pain. "Storm's coming," David called, glancing at the darkening sky where clouds churned ominously. "Better get inside soon, Lily." Anna nodded, her voice soft but tight. "5 more minutes, honey," she said, watching Lily chase fireflies, a flicker of her old spark. As a designer, Anna knew beauty in fleeting moments, but this one felt fragile, like it could shatter. David dropped a log, his voice low. "She's smiling, Anna." "First time in weeks." Anna's throat tightened, her fingers brushing the locket with Noah's photo. "I know," she whispered, "but it never lasts." A rustle broke the quiet, sharp and urgent from the meadow's tall grass. Anna froze, her pulse spiking as a massive black shape exploded from the underbrush. A German shepherd, its coat matted with blood, its scarred muzzle bared. "Lily!" Anna screamed, her voice shattering the dusk, sprinting toward her daughter. David dropped his axe, his boots pounding the earth, but they were too far, too slow. The dog slammed into Lily, its force knocking her flat, her small frame vanishing into the grass. Anna's heart stopped, her scream raw. "No!" But in that frozen moment, Anna saw it. A sleek, dark shape slithering in the grass where Lily had stood. A rattlesnake, its fangs glinting, coiled to strike. The dog wasn't attacking. It was shielding Lily, its powerful jaws snapping at the snake, pinning it to the earth. David reached Lily first, scooping her into his arms, his voice shaking. "Lily, you okay?" Lily nodded, her face pale, her hoodie torn, her voice a whisper. He saved me." Anna knelt beside the dog, her hands trembling, her voice choked. "Oh my God." The German shepherd, blood seeping from a gash on its flank, collapsed, its breath ragged, its brown eyes locked on Lily, as if ensuring her safety. Anna's fingers brushed its matted fur, finding a collar with a chipped tag, her voice trembling. "He's hurt bad, David." "We can't leave him." David's jaw tightened, his voice urgent. "Anna, he's a stray, could be dangerous." But Lily's tears fell, her voice fierce despite her fear of dogs. "He saved me, Dad! We have to help him!" A sharp crack split the air. A gunshot, distant but unmistakable, echoing from the woods. Anna's blood ran cold, her eyes darting to the tree line where headlights flickered, a black truck idling in the dusk, its driver obscured. David's hand hovered near his hunting knife, his voice low. "Poachers. Hunting season's over." Anna's anger flared. Wisconsin's woods were plagued by illegal hunters, but this felt personal, targeted. "They're after him," she whispered, her hand on the dog's collar, feeling a hidden pouch with a microchip and a note. "Storm's pack. Save him." "What the hell?" David muttered, his hands shaking as he read the note. Anna's pulse raced, her voice fierce. "This isn't random, David. Someone knows he's here." The truck's engine roared, tires screeching as it vanished into the woods. Lily's voice broke, clutching her hoodie. "Mom, he's dying." Anna's heart ached. Noah's memory, his love for animals, flashing in her mind. "We're not letting him die," she said, her voice steady, maternal instinct overriding fear. "David, get the truck." "We're taking him to the vet." David hesitated, his voice torn. "Anna, we don't know what we're dealing with. That chip, that note, it's trouble." But Anna's eyes blazed, her voice fierce. "He saved our daughter, David. We owe him." Titan whined, his eyes pleading, his blood pooling in the grass. Anna's tears fell, her voice raw. "We're not turning him away." The meadow's quiet beauty was gone, Clover Hollow's dusk now a battleground, and Lily's desperate plea had pulled them into a mystery that would change their fractured family forever. The Wisconsin dawn broke with a fragile glow. Clover Hollow's fields cloaked in mist, the Harper farmhouse a lone beacon in the quiet. Anna Harper sat at the kitchen table, her brown hair loose, her wool sweater frayed from the frantic night when Storm, a wounded German shepherd, had saved her daughter Lily from a rattlesnake. Her hands, calloused from sketching, trembled as she clutched a cold coffee, the microchip and note. Storm's pack. Save him. Haunting her. At 36, Anna felt the weight of grief for her son Noah and fear for Lily, now asleep upstairs. David Harper, 38, his black hair disheveled, his leather jacket creased, leaned against the counter, his face tense. Storm, patched up by a vet, rested in the garage, his black coat matted, his scarred muzzle still, his labored breathing a reminder of his sacrifice. The threatening gunshot and the black truck's retreat at dusk had turned their sanctuary into a target. "He's not a stray, David," Anna said, her voice low, raw, her gaze on the microchip. "That note. Someone's hunting him." David rubbed his neck, his voice hoarse. "He's a German shepherd, Anna." "Poachers don't chase pedigreed dogs." Storm's lunge, shielding Lily, lingered in Anna's mind, a loyalty she couldn't ignore. As a designer, she saw patterns, and this felt orchestrated. Lily's soft footsteps padded downstairs, her blonde hair tangled, her hoodie oversized, her voice small. "Is Storm okay?" Anna's heart ached, her voice trembling. "He's resting, sweetie. You were so brave." A knock rattled the door. Storm's growl rumbled from the garage, sharp and protective. Anna gripped her mug, her voice a whisper. "David, check the window." David peered through the curtains, his voice tense. "It's Margaret." Anna opened the door, revealing Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, her flannel shirt crisp, a clipboard in hand. She'd run Clover Hollow's co-op for decades, her skepticism infamous. "Morning," Margaret said, her eyes flicking to the garage where Storm's growl softened but persisted. "Heard about a dog at your place, got a call about poaching nearby." Anna's pulse spiked, her voice sharp. "Poaching?" "Who called?" Margaret's jaw tightened. "Anonymous tip. That dog's chipped, Anna." "Could be trouble." David stepped forward, his voice steady. "He's in our garage, Margaret. He's hurt, not wild." Margaret opened her clipboard, her voice clipped. "Chipped dogs aren't strays. They're property. I need to see him." Anna's throat tightened, the note's plea, "Save him," flashing in her mind. "He saved Lily, Margaret," she said, her voice fierce. "He's staying." Storm's whine came from the garage, low and urgent, as if sensing the danger. Margaret's eyes narrowed, her voice cold. "You're playing with fire, Anna. Poachers don't leave notes." The garage door creaked and Storm's head appeared, his brown eyes locked on Anna, his flank bandaged, his strength fading. Anna's breath caught, her voice trembling. "He trusts us, Margaret. Look at him." Lily knelt beside Storm, her fear of dogs forgotten, her voice soft. "He's my friend." Margaret froze, her clipboard slipping, her voice shaky. "That's not normal." David's phone buzzed, a new text. "Give up the dog, or Lily's next." Anna's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. "They know about Lily." Margaret's radio crackled, her voice urgent. "We need to move, Anna." "Those poachers are close." But Storm's growl turned frantic, his body tensing toward the meadow where headlights flickered, a black truck idling in the mist, its driver obscured. David's hand tightened on his knife, his voice fierce. "That's them!" Anna scooped Lily into her arms, her voice desperate. "They're not getting Storm." Margaret drew her sidearm, her voice tense. "Stay here. I'll check it." Storm staggered forward, blocking the garage door, his eyes fierce despite his wounds. Anna's heart raced, her fingers brushing Storm's collar, revealing a hidden USB drive and a new note. "Aurora's hunt. Protect the pack." "What the hell?" David muttered, his hands shaking. Margaret's face paled, her voice low. "Aurora? That's a poaching cartel." The truck's engine roared, tires screeching as it vanished into the mist. Lily's voice trembled, clutching Anna. "Mom, they're after Storm." Anna gripped the USB, her voice a growl. "They're scared we found this. It's big." The twist landed like a bomb. The USB hinted at a poaching ring tied to Storm's rescue, and Lily's innocent courage had drawn a wounded dog into a deadly conspiracy. "Anna, we need to hide him," David said, his voice urgent. "That cartel's not playing." Storm whined, pressing against Lily, his eyes pleading. Anna's throat tightened, guilt washing over her. She'd opened her heart to Storm, but now Lily was a target. "Margaret, help us," she said, her voice fierce. "We're not letting them take him." Margaret's eyes darted to Storm, her voice conflicted. "You're in deep, Anna, but I'm in." The farmhouse was no longer a refuge. It was a front line, and Storm's desperate act had ignited a battle Anna couldn't back down from. The Wisconsin dusk cloaked Clover Hollow in a veil of mist. The old barn behind the Harper farmhouse, a shadowed maze of hay bales and rusted tools under a sky heavy with rain. Anna Harper stood inside, her brown hair damp with sweat, her wool sweater torn from the frantic morning when Storm, a wounded German shepherd, had exposed a poaching cartel's microchip after saving her daughter Lily from a rattlesnake. Her calloused hands trembled as she checked Storm's bandages, the dog's black coat matted, his scarred muzzle still, his brown eyes pleading. At 36, Anna felt the weight of protecting 10-year-old Lily, now sketching in the farmhouse, her fear of dogs fading. David Harper, 38, his black hair slick, his leather jacket scuffed, knelt beside Storm, his breath sharp, the threatening texts, "Give up the dog or Lily's next." And the USB drive labeled Aurora's Hunt had turned their quiet life into a nightmare. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, her flannel shirt creased, paced by the barn door, her radio crackling. The barn, a makeshift refuge, thrummed with tension after the black truck's ominous retreat at dawn. "Anything on that drive, David?" Anna asked, her voice low, raw, her gaze on Storm, whose loyalty had saved Lily. David's laptop glowed, his voice shaky. "It's got files. Aurora Cartel, poaching logs, dated 2 years back." Margaret clutched her clipboard, her hands unsteady. 2 years? That's when the valley's strays vanished. Anna's throat tightened, memories of missing dogs stinging. "Randall's behind this, isn't he? That chip proves it." Storm's whine was soft, his nose nudging Anna, his trust a lifeline after the text. Lily's next. A sharp thud hit the barn wall. Storm's growl erupted, his hackles up, his body coiled despite his wounds. Anna grabbed a pitchfork, motioning David to stay back, her voice a whisper. "Margaret, check the window." Margaret peered through a crack in the boards, her voice tense. "It's them." Anna cracked the door, revealing duct. Rachel Nguyen, 42, a wildlife biologist with brown hair, her long coat muddy, a report in hand. "It's me," she said, her eyes on Storm, who softened but stayed alert. "Storm's chip is high-tech, tied to a cartel called Aurora." Anna's pulse spiked, her voice sharp. "High-tech? He's a dog, Rachel." David's face paled, his voice trembling. "Who's hunting him?" Rachel opened the report, her voice steady. "Aurora's smuggling rare breeds, funded by Victor Randall's hunting outfit. Storm's pack escaped their kennels." Anna's mind raced. Storm's courage, his plea in the meadow, wasn't just instinct, it was survival. Storm's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the barn window where headlights flickered, a black truck idling in the mist. Margaret's hand tightened on her sidearm, her voice cold. "They're back." Anna's hand gripped the pitchfork, her voice fierce. "They're not getting Lily or Storm." Rachel's eyes narrowed, her voice urgent. "We need Randall's kennel logs, Anna. Now." But Storm's bark turned frantic, his body lunging at the door as boots crunched outside. Too heavy, too deliberate. Anna shoved a crate aside, her voice urgent. "David, get Lily from the house. Hide her." David bolted, his voice fierce. "I'm on it." Anna ignored the danger, her maternal instincts kicking in, motioning Margaret to cover the rear. "Go, I've got this." The door burst open, 3 men in dark gear storming in, one wielding a tranquilizer gun. "Harper!" the leader snarled, his voice low. "Hand over the dog, no one gets hurt." Storm broke free, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming the gun, pinning him to the floor. Anna swung her pitchfork, grazing a second man's arm, her voice a roar. "Stay back." Rachel tackled the third, zip-tying him, her voice desperate. "They'll kill Storm." Storm spun, shielding Anna, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Randall's done with you, Harper. Wraith wants that dog dead." Anna's rage erupted, her voice fierce. "Not today!" She shoved a hay bale, toppling it onto a guard, Storm's snarl protecting Rachel, who clung to a crate, trembling. Margaret's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist tracking the cartel, her voice urgent. "Anna, poachers hit my car. They're after Storm's tracking data." Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. "They're erasing his escape?" The twist landed like a bomb. Margaret's flashlight swept the leader's gear, revealing a burner phone flashing. "Wraith's orders. Take the dog. Wipe the drive." Anna rifled the man's pocket, finding a microchip with a feed. Dozens of caged German shepherds in a Canadian kennel. "They're trafficking them!" Rachel gasped, her voice raw. "Randall's running Aurora." The truck's engine roared outside, tires screeching as it fled. David burst in, Lily in his arms, her voice a sob. "She's safe, Anna." Anna knelt beside Storm, her voice steady. "You're not alone, boy." Rachel bagged the chip, her voice grim. "This is a cartel cover-up, Anna. They'll kill to keep it quiet." Margaret's face paled, her voice fierce. "I'm calling the sheriff, Anna." "We're out of time." Anna's tears fell, her voice raw. "He came to us for help, David. We're not giving up." Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The barn was no longer a refuge. Randall's betrayal had turned it into a trap, and Lily's innocent courage had pulled them into a deadly fight for Storm's life. The Wisconsin night gripped Clover Hollow's outskirts, the abandoned logging camp a tangle of splintered logs and muddy ruts under a sky churning with rain. Anna Harper crouched behind a stack of rotting timber, her brown hair soaked, her wool sweater torn from the frantic escape from the barn ambush hours ago, where Storm's ferocity had saved them from Victor Randall's poachers. Her calloused hands burned, her grazed arm throbbed, but her heart pounded with dread for her 10-year-old daughter, Lily, hidden in a safe house with Storm's bandages fresh. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed close, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes piercing the dark, his black coat slick with rain. Trained for survival, Storm's instincts had led them here, chasing Randall's poaching logs tied to the Aurora cartel. David Harper, 38, his black hair damp, his leather jacket torn, clutched a stolen USB drive, his breath sharp. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, her flannel shirt muddy, scanned the camp with a flashlight, holding a tip about Randall's trap caches. Doctor. Rachel Nguyen, 42, a biologist with brown hair, her long coat stained, gripped a crowbar, her face grim. The camp, a hub for Aurora's illegal hunts, loomed, its icy trails a gateway to truth or a trap. "North clearing now," Rachel whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a sagging shed. "Guards, 4, armed. We get those logs. We bury Randall." Anna's hands shook, her flashlight beam unsteady, her maternal instincts battling fear, but her voice was fierce. "Lily's not losing Storm. We end this." Storm's tackle at the barn, exposing the cartel's microchip, fueled her resolve, the text's threat. Lily's next, echoing. Margaret's voice trembled, clutching a radio. "Storm's our hero, Anna. Our—" "He'll find them." David's hand gripped Anna's, his voice raw. "Lily's counting on us, Anna. We can't fail." Rachel's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. "They're setting traps. Files, too," she said, her face grim. "We're out of time." Storm's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the mud, his nose sniffing for threats. Anna nodded, her throat tight, the barn's betrayal, Margaret's past accident burning in her mind. "Let's move," she said, her voice low. The shed's door was ajar, revealing a dim interior, crates, steel traps, and a faint whimper from a locked cage. Storm's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a crate marked Aurora. Anna pried it open, her breath catching. Files, a laptop labeled Cartel, and a caged fox, its fur matted, its eyes pleading. "It's alive," she gasped, rushing forward, Storm guarding her, his whine desperate. The fox, scarred, whimpered, reaching out. "We're here," Anna said, cutting the lock, tears burning. Margaret's pistol covered the shed, her voice fierce. "Move, Fox, we're out." David grabbed a crate's lid, revealing burner phones, traps, and a ledger. "This lists targets. Storm's pack," he said, bagging a phone, but Storm's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden crate. Rachel yanked it open, her voice trembling. Photos. A canine raid, Storm escaping. "Randall's there." Anna's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. "Another text, David. You're too late, Harper." Storm's hackles rose, his nose snapping toward the clearing. Boots echoed, heavy, deliberate. Headlights roared, 3 black trucks screeching into the yard, Randall's men spilling out, 6 rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The laptop, Harper, now!" Anna dove behind a log, shielding Margaret, Storm charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the mud. Rachel fired a flare gun, blinding a second man, her shots wild but effective, but the others advanced, bullets splintering crates. David's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. "They'll kill Lily, Anna!" Margaret screamed, her voice raw. "Storm, come back!" Anna tackled a third man, zip-tying him, her hands aching, her voice fierce. "Stay with me, Rachel." Storm spun, shielding the fox, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Randall's done with you, Harper. Wraith wants those dogs dead." Anna's rage erupted, her voice a roar. Not today. She swung her crowbar, cracking a guard's arm. Storm's snarl protecting Margaret, who clung to the fox, whimpering. Rachel's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist at the safe house, her voice urgent. Anna, Lily's safe, but Randall's men hit my van. They're after the pup's microchips. Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. They're erasing their tracks? The twist landed like a sledgehammer. David's hand shook, pulling a hidden recorder from the crate, a voice crackling. If you hear this, Anna, Randall's not alone. Wraith's sheriff, Tom Vance. Anna's blood froze, her voice raw. Vance? The town's hero? Storm's bark spiked, his nose at a guard's vest, revealing a burner phone flashing. Vance's orders: eliminate Harper, Ellis. Margaret's sob choked, her voice fierce. He's everywhere, Anna. Rachel tackled a fourth man, her voice grim. We're pinned. More guards flooded in, 8 tasers and knives surrounding them. Storm lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the fox, while Anna's crowbar bought seconds, grazing a guard. Margaret's voice was desperate, clutching Storm's leash. Don't let them win. The leader aimed at Storm, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Anna threw a log, knocking the rifle free, her rage a mother's fire. You'll never touch him. Storm pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. David tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. Anna, it's Margaret's brother, Deputy Mark Ellis. He's with Randall's men. Margaret's scream was primal, her voice breaking. Mark. He swore to protect this valley. But Anna's mind raced. Mark, always at Margaret's side, trusted by all. Sirens wailed, sheriff's trucks storming the camp, floodlights cutting the rain. Rachel cuffed the leader, her face grim. We've got them. Anna clung to Storm and the fox, David's tears falling, his voice fierce. Find Lily, Anna. Save her. Rachel grabbed the laptop, her face set. This name's Vance's cartel drops. We're close. But Anna's voice was raw. Mark's the key. If he's Wraith's mole. Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The camp was secure, but Vance's shadow loomed. Lily's life and Storm's pack on the line, and their desperate plea was their only guide. The Wisconsin rain lashed Clover Hollow's back roads. The old quarry, a jagged sprawl of slick granite and twisted pines under a sky roiling with thunder. Anna Harper gripped a flashlight, her brown hair drenched, her wool sweater bloodied from the logging camp raid where Storm had exposed Sheriff Tom Vance as Wraith, a mastermind in Victor Randall's poaching cartel, Aurora. Her calloused hands burned, her grazed arm throbbed, but her heart pounded with dread for her 10-year-old daughter Lily, sedated in a safe house. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, moved silently beside her, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes cutting through the storm, his black coat slick. Trained for survival, Storm's instincts had led them here, chasing Vance's trap logs. David Harper, 38, his black hair soaked, his leather jacket torn, clutched a stolen laptop, his breath ragged. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, her flannel shirt muddy, held a police report, her face grim. Dr. Rachel Nguyen, 42, a biologist with brown hair, her long coat stained, carried a crowbar, her eyes sharp. The quarry, a hub for Aurora's illegal traps, loomed, its treacherous pits a gateway to answers or a trap. East Ridge now, Rachel whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a rain-slicked shed. Guards, 5, armed. We get the logs. We nail Vance. Anna's hands shook, her flashlight beam unsteady, her maternal instincts afire despite the pain, her voice fierce. Lily's not losing Storm. We end this. Storm's tackle at the camp, saving the caged fox, fueled her resolve, the text's threat. "You're too late, Harper," echoing. Margaret's voice trembled, stroking Storm. "Storm's our hero, Anna. He'll save her." David's hand gripped Anna's, his voice raw. "Lily's fighting, Anna. We can't fail." Margaret's flashlight caught a guard silhouette, radio buzzing. "They're rigging traps, files too," she said, her face grim. "We hit fast." Storm's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the mud, his nose sniffing for threats. Anna nodded, her throat tight. The camp's betrayal, Deputy Mark Ellis, Margaret's brother, implicated, burning in her mind. "Let's move," she said, her voice low. The shed's rusted door yielded to Rachel's crowbar, revealing a dim interior. Crates, steel traps, and a faint whimper from a locked cage. Storm's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a crate marked Aurora. Anna pried it open, the sight gut-wrenching. 3 caged hawks, their feathers matted with blood, their eyes pleading. "They're alive," she gasped, rushing forward, Storm guarding her, his whine desperate. A hawk, scarred, whimpered, reaching out. "We're here," Anna said, cutting the locks, tears burning. Rachel's pistol covered the shed, her voice fierce. "Move, hawks!" "We're out!" David grabbed a crate's lid, revealing burner phones, traps, and a ledger. "This lists targets. Lily's name," he said, bagging a phone, but Storm's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden crate. Margaret yanked it open, her voice trembling. A tablet. Live feed. Not just the hawks, but Lily in the safe house, a shadow moving toward her. Anna's scream pierced the air, her voice breaking, clutching the hawk's cage. "They're after my baby," David's sob choked, his voice fierce. "Anna, we have to save her." Headlights roared outside, 4 black trucks screeching into the quarry, Vance's men spilling out, 7 rifles and tasers, their leader shouting, "The laptop, Harper, now!" Anna dove behind a crate, shielding Rachel, Storm charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the mud. Margaret fired a flare, blinding a second man, her shots precise despite her shaking hands, but the others advanced, bullets shredding crates. David's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. "They'll kill Lily, Anna!" Rachel screamed, her voice raw. "Storm, come back!" Anna tackled a third man, zip-tying him, her hands searing, her voice fierce. "Stay with me, David!" Storm spun, shielding the hawks, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Vance is done with you, Harper. Phantom wants you buried." Anna's rage erupted, her voice a roar. "Not today!" She swung her crowbar, cracking a guard's wrist. Storm snarled, protecting Margaret, who clung to the hawk, whimpering. Rachel's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist at the safe house, her voice urgent. "Anna, Lily's sedated. Vance is dosing her with a syringe." Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. "Vance, he's drugging my daughter?" The twist landed like a thunderbolt. David's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Phantom's orders, silence the girl. Not Vance, but a higher power orchestrating from the shadows. Rachel's eyes widened, her voice raw. "Another boss? Who's above Vance?" Storm's bark spiked, his nose at a crate, pawing frantically. Margaret ripped it open, revealing a hidden drive with emails. Not just Vance, but a code name, Phantom, linked to Mayor Ellen Pierce. "She's the money," Margaret gasped, clutching the drive. "Vance is just the front." Anna's crowbar snapped up, her voice fierce. "We're pinned." More guards flooded in, 9 armed, surrounding them. Storm lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the hawks, while David's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Anna's hands burned, but she shielded Rachel, her voice desperate. "Margaret, get to Lily." The hawk pressed against Margaret, its trust mirroring Storm's. The leader aimed at Storm, his voice cold. "Your mutts first!" Anna threw a pipe, knocking the rifle free, her rage a mother's fire. "You'll never touch him!" Storm spun, pinning another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Margaret tackled a third, but the radio buzzed again, the woman's voice, chilling. "Burn it all, Vance. Harper's done." Anna's scream was primal, Storm's loyalty her anchor. Sirens wailed, sheriff's trucks storming the quarry, floodlights cutting the rain. Rachel cuffed the leader, her face set, blood seeping from a cut. "We've got them, but Pierce is free." Anna grabbed the drive, her voice fierce. "This names Pierce's cartel ties." "We're close." But her tears fell, her voice raw. "Lily's in danger, David. They're not done." Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to fight. Margaret's hand gripped her shoulder, her voice fierce. "We'll protect her, Anna. Storm's with us." The quarry was secure, the hawks safe, but Pierce's shadow loomed, Lily's life at risk. Anna's fight for Lily, for Storm, was a race against a hidden enemy, and their desperate plea was their only guide. The Wisconsin storm raged across Clover Hollow, the old ranger station, a stronghold of weathered logs and flickering lanterns under a sky torn by lightning. Anna Harper leaned against a splintered desk, her brown hair matted with sweat, her wool sweater bloodied from the quarry raid where Storm had unmasked Mayor Ellen Pierce as Phantom, a mastermind in Victor Randall's poaching cartel Aurora. Her calloused hands ached, her grazed arm throbbed, but her heart pounded with dread for her 10-year-old daughter Lily, sedated in a safe house. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, lay alert by the door, his scarred muzzle tense, his brown eyes scanning the shadows, his black coat slick with rain. Trained for survival, Storm's instincts had saved caged hawks and exposed Deputy Mark Ellis's betrayal. David Harper, 38, his black hair damp, his leather jacket torn, clutched a stolen tablet, his breath ragged. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, her flannel shirt stained, decoded the tablet, her voice trembling. "Anna, this lists Aurora's trap drops. Lily's on their hit list." The revelation of Mark, her brother, dosing Lily had turned the station into a war zone. "Keep digging, Margaret," Anna said, her voice raw, her gaze on Storm, whose courage had saved them. "We need proof Pierce is involved." David's hand shook, the tablet slipping, his voice breaking. "Mark was my friend." "How could he do this?" Anna's throat tightened, memories of Mark's community barbecues stinging. "He's trapped, David. They're using him." Margaret's eyes flashed, her voice fierce. "Storm's our hero, Anna. He'll find Lily." Storm's whine was soft, his nose nudging Anna's hand, his loyalty a lifeline after Mark's betrayal. A thud echoed from the station's rear. Storm's growl erupted, his hackles up, his body coiled. Anna grabbed her pistol, motioning David to the corner, her voice a whisper. "Margaret, behind the crates." Margaret hesitated, her eyes on Storm, then nodded, clutching the tablet. David dragged Storm, his voice panicked. "Stay, boy!" Anna cracked the door, revealing Dr. Rachel and Gwen, 42, her brown hair wet, her long coat muddy, a report in hand. "It's me," she said, her voice urgent, glancing at Storm, who softened but stayed alert. "Pierce's funding Aurora through town budgets. Mark's dosing Lily to keep her quiet." Anna's pulse spiked, her voice sharp. "Dosing her? At the safe house?" Rachel nodded, her face grim. "Sedatives in her juice, enough to harm her." David's sob choked, his voice raw. "Lily? They're drugging our baby?" Margaret's tablet pinged, her voice desperate. "Another email, Anna." From Phantom. "Clear the station, Pierce. No survivors." Storm's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the vent, where a faint hiss sounded, gas seeping in. Anna's blood ran cold, her voice fierce. "They're gassing us! Move!" The station door splintered. 5 men in tactical gear storming in, gas masks on, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The tablet, Harper, now!" Storm charged, a black blur tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the floor. Anna fired her pistol, grazing a second man, her shots steady despite her arm's pain, but the gas thickened, burning her lungs. David swung a chair, smashing a guard's mask, his voice fierce. "You won't touch Lily!" Rachel coughed, her voice raw. "Storm, help!" Anna tackled a third man, zip-tying him, her eyes stinging, her voice desperate. "Margaret, get to the vent!" Storm spun, shielding David, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, mask cracked, laughed, his voice muffled. "Pierce is cleaning Clover Hollow. Harper." "Spectre wants you dead." Anna's rage erupted, her voice a roar. "Not today!" She smashed a crate over a guard's head, Storm's snarl protecting Rachel, who coughed, clutching the hawk from the quarry, whimpering. Margaret's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist at the safe house, her voice urgent. "Anna, Lily's sedated again. Pierce is dosing her formula." Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. "Pierce. She's drugging my daughter?" The twist landed like a thunderbolt. The vent hissed louder, and Mark Ellis, 58, silver-haired, in a deputy's uniform, burst through a side door, syringe in hand, his face wild. "Anna, give me the tablet!" he screamed, lunging at her. David's voice broke, tears streaming. "Mark, you're drugging Lily? Our Lily." Storm's bark spiked, his body leaping at Mark, pinning his arm, the syringe clattering. Margaret's sob choked, her voice fierce. "You betrayed Storm's pack, Mark." Anna tackled a fourth guard, her vision blurring, her voice raw. "Why, Mark? Why my daughter?" Mark's eyes darted, his voice desperate. "They threatened my kids, Anna. Pierce said they'd kill them." Rachel cuffed him, her voice grim. "You spiked Lily's juice, didn't you?" Mark's shoulders slumped, his voice a sob. "Just enough to keep her quiet, to save my family." Storm's growl intensified, his nose at Mark's uniform, pawing a hidden burner phone, flashing. Pierce's orders. "Gas the station, take tablet." Anna's blood froze, her voice fierce. "Who's Pierce working for, Mark? Give me a name." Mark's eyes widened, his voice a whisper. "Pierce. She's untouchable." More guards flooded in. 7, armed, gas masks glowing in the haze. Storm lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the hawk, while Anna's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. David's voice was a sob. "Anna, save Lily!" The hawk pressed against David, its trust mirroring Storm's. Sirens wailed, FBI trucks storming the lot, floodlights cutting the storm. Rachel secured Mark, her face set, blood seeping from a cut. "We've got him, but Pierce is free." Anna grabbed the tablet, her voice fierce. "This name's Pierce's cartel network. We're close." But her tears fell, her voice raw. "Lily's in danger, David. We're not done." Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The station was secure, but Pierce's shadow loomed, Lily's life and Storm's pack on the line, and their desperate plea was their only guide. The Wisconsin storm lashed Clover Hollow's outskirts, the derelict hunting lodge a crumbling fortress of rotting logs and broken windows under a sky fractured by lightning. Anna Harper crouched behind a stack of moldy crates, her brown hair drenched, her wool sweater bloodied from the ranger station ambush where Storm had stopped Deputy Mark Ellis's gas attack. Her calloused hands burned, her grazed arm throbbed. but her heart pounded with dread for her 10-year-old daughter, Lily, sedated in a safe house. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed against her, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes slicing through the storm, his black coat tense. Trained for survival, Storm's instincts had exposed Mayor Ellen Pierce's global poaching network. David Harper, 38, his black hair soaked, his leather jacket torn, clutched a stolen USB drive, his breath ragged. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, gripped a crowbar, her flannel shirt muddy, her face grim. Dr. Rachel Nguyen, 42, a biologist with brown hair, her long coat stained, held a police report, her eyes sharp. The lodge, a hub for Aurora's illegal traps, loomed, its shadowed halls a battleground for truth. "West Wing now," Rachel whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a sagging door. "Guards, 6, armed. We get the manifest. We nail Pierce." Anna's hands trembled, gripping her pistol, her maternal instincts ablaze despite the pain, her voice fierce. "Lily's not losing Storm. We end this." Storm's lunge at Mark, stopping the syringe, fueled her resolve, the station's warning. Lily's sedated, echoing. David's voice shook, stroking Storm. "He's our hero, Anna. He'll save her." Margaret's hand gripped Anna's, her voice raw. "Lily's fighting, Anna. We can't let them win." Rachel's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. "They're loading trap crates," she said, her face grim. "We hit hard." Storm's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the rain, his nose sniffing for threats. Anna nodded, her throat tight. Mark's confession. "Pierce said they'd kill my kids," ringing in her ears. "Let's move," she said, her voice low. The door's rusted hinges yielded to Margaret's crowbar, revealing a cavernous interior, pallets, steel traps, and a ledger marked Spectre. "This is it," Anna gasped, grabbing the ledger, but Storm's growl turned feral, his nose pawing a hidden crate. David yanked it open, his voice trembling. "Emails. Mark and Pierce, smuggling dogs to cartels." Lily's parents were on to them. Margaret's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. "Another text, Anna. Harper's finished. Spectre's orders." Storm's hackles rose, his nose snapping toward the hall. Boots echoed, heavy, deliberate. Headlights roared, 4 black trucks screeching into the yard, Pierce's men spilling out, 8 rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The ledger, Harper, now!" Anna dove behind a crate, shielding Rachel, Storm charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the mud. Margaret fired a flare gun, blinding a second man, her shots shaky but fierce, but the others advanced, bullets splintering crates. David's voice was a sob, clutching the USB. "They'll kill Lily, Anna," Rachel screamed, her voice raw. "Storm, come back!" Anna tackled a third man, zip-tying him, her hands searing, her voice fierce. "Stay with me, Margaret." Storm spun, shielding the hawk from the quarry, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Pierce is cleaning Clover Hollow, Harper. Spectre wants you erased." Anna's rage erupted, her voice a roar. "Not tonight." She swung her crowbar, cracking a guard's arm, Storm's snarl protecting David, who clung to the hawk, whimpering. Margaret's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist at the safe house, her voice urgent. "Anna, Lily's sedated again." "Pierce's inside man is Agent Sarah Klein." Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. "Sarah? Pierce's cousin?" The twist landed like a thunderbolt. A figure emerged from the lodge's shadows, a woman, 42, blonde-haired, in an FBI jacket, pistol aimed at Anna. "You're a nuisance, Harper," she sneered, her voice venomous. Agent Sarah Klein, Spectre's inside ally, codenamed Aurora's Claw. Lily's a loose end. You're next. David's scream was heart-wrenching, his voice breaking. You guarded Lily at the safe house? You drugged her? Storm's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Sarah, distracting her, the shot grazing Margaret's leg, blood spraying. Rachel's voice was desperate, clutching Storm's leash. Anna, no! Anna dove, tackling Sarah, her fists swinging, a mother's fury unleashed. You'll never touch her. Margaret's courage, Storm's our hero, fueled her, the crowbar cracking Sarah's wrist, the gun clattering. David cuffed her with a zip tie, his voice fierce despite his fear. You're done, traitor. But Sarah's laugh was chilling, her eyes wild. Pierce is untouchable, Harper. You've won nothing. Storm's growl spiked, his nose at Sarah's jacket, pawing a hidden microchip, buzzing with a feed, hundreds of caged German shepherds in a Brazilian kennel. They're trafficking globally, Rachel gasped, her voice raw. Sarah was just the muscle. More guards flooded in, 10 armed, gas masks glowing in the storm. Storm lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the hawk, while Anna's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. David's voice was a sob. Anna, save Lily. The hawk pressed against David, its trust mirroring Storm's. The leader aimed at Storm, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Anna threw a crate lid, knocking the rifle free, her rage a mother's fire. You'll never touch him. Storm pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Rachel tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. Anna, Randall's at the safe house. He's after Lily! Margaret's scream was raw, her voice fierce. Randall, we exposed him! The rancher's survival was a gut punch, his arrest a ruse to lure them here. Anna's vision blurred, her voice desperate. We're trapped. Sirens roared, FBI trucks storming the lodge, floodlights cutting the storm. Rachel secured Sarah, her face set, blood seeping from her leg. We've got her, but Randall's loose. Anna grabbed the microchip, her voice fierce. This name's Pierce's empire. We're close. But her tears fell, her voice raw. Lily's fading, David. We've got to move. Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The lodge was secure, but Randall's shadow loomed. Lily's life and Storm's pack on the line, and their desperate plea was their only guide. The Wisconsin rain hammered Clover Hollow's rural edge, the fortified safe house a sturdy cabin of reinforced logs and barred windows under a sky roaring with thunder. Anna Harper stood in the cramped living room, her brown hair matted with sweat, her wool sweater bloodied from the hunting lodge raid where Storm had unmasked Agent Sarah Klein as Aurora's Claw, a key player in Mayor Ellen Pierce's poaching cartel, Project Aurora. Her calloused hands ached, her grazed arm throbbed, but her heart raced with fear for her 10-year-old daughter Lily, sedated and vulnerable in a back room. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, pressed against her, his scarred muzzle low, his brown eyes vigilant, his black coat slick with rain. Trained for survival, Storm's instincts had saved caged animals and exposed a global trafficking network. David Harper, 38, his black hair damp, his leather jacket torn, clutched Lily's medical chart, his breath shaky. Margaret Ellis, 60, a farmer with silver hair, gripped her pistol, her flannel shirt muddy, her eyes red from tears. Dr. Rachel Nguyen, 42, a biologist with brown hair, her long coat rumpled, held a stolen tablet, her face grim. The safe house, now a battleground, pulsed with tension. Victor Randall was coming for Lily. Perimeters locked, Margaret whispered, her voice taut, nodding to FBI agents outside. Randall's men tried to cut the power last night. Anna's hands trembled. gripping her pistol, her maternal instincts ablaze despite the pain, her voice fierce. Storm stopped Sarah. He'll stop Randall. Storm's lunge at Sarah, exposing her microchip, fueled her resolve. The lodge's warning. Randall's at the safe house, echoing. David's voice shook, stroking Storm. He's our hero, Anna. Lily needs him. Rachel's hand gripped Anna's, her voice raw. Randall funded our town's festivals, Anna. How could he betray us like this? David's chart trembled, his voice urgent. Lily's got sedatives in her system, trace doses, likely from tampered bottles. It's affecting her breathing. Anna's pulse spiked, her voice sharp. Inside the safe house, who's got access? Rachel's phone buzzed, her voice panicked. Another text, Anna. Spectre says end the girl tonight. Storm's growl deepened, his nose snapping toward the hallway, where footsteps echoed, too deliberate, too heavy. Anna's blood ran cold, her voice fierce. They're here. Move! The living room door burst open, 5 men in tactical gear storming in, silenced pistols raised, their leader shouting, Harper's done, Mitchell! Storm charged, a black blur tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a pistol, pinning him to the floor. Anna fired her pistol, grazing a second man, her shots steady despite her arm's pain, but the others advanced, bullets shattering furniture. David swung a chair, smashing a guard's knee, his voice fierce. You won't touch Lily, Margaret screamed, her voice raw. Storm, help! Anna tackled a third man, zip-tying him, her arm bleeding, her voice desperate. Rachel, get to Lily's room. Storm spun, shielding Margaret, his bloodied flank heaving, his eyes fierce. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Randall's cleaning Clover Hollow, Harper. Spectre wants you silenced. Anna's rage erupted, her voice a roar. Not on my watch. She smashed a lamp over a guard's head. Storm snarl protecting David, who clung to the hawk from the quarry, whimpering. Rachel's radio crackled. Grace Carter, 30, a journalist at the perimeter, her voice urgent. Anna, Lily's safe, but Randall's hacked the safe house cameras. He's watching you! Anna's heart stopped, her voice trembling. He's running this from inside? The twist landed like a sledgehammer. A figure stepped from the hallway, a man, 55, silver-haired, in a tailored suit, pistol aimed at Anna. You're a pest, Harper, he sneered, his voice smooth. Victor Randall, Spectre's enforcer. Lily's a loose end. You're next. Margaret's scream was heart-wrenching, her voice breaking. You sponsored our co-op, Victor? You drugged a child? Storm's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Randall, distracting him, the shot grazing Rachel's shoulder, blood spraying. David's voice was desperate, clutching Storm's leash. Anna, no! Anna dove, tackling Randall, her fists swinging, a mother's fury unleashed. You'll never touch her! David's courage, Storm's our hero, fueled her, her pistol cracking Randall's wrist, the gun clattering. Margaret cuffed him with a zip tie, her voice fierce despite her wound. You're done, traitor. But Randall's laugh was chilling, his eyes wild. Pierce is untouchable, Harper. You've won nothing. Storm's growl spiked, his nose at Randall's suit, pawing a hidden microchip, buzzing with a feed. Thousands of caged animals in a Chinese port. Global trafficking, Rachel gasped, her voice raw. Randall was just the muscle. More guards flooded in, 12 armed, gas masks glowing in the dim light. Storm lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the hawk, while Anna's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. David's voice was a sob, clutching Lily's chart. Anna, save her! The hawk pressed against David, its trust mirroring Storm's. The leader aimed at Storm, his voice cold. Your mutts first. Anna threw a table, knocking the rifle free. her rage a mother's fire. "You'll never touch him!" Storm pinned another guard, his jaws fierce but controlled. Rachel tackled a sixth, but the radio buzzed again. Grace, her voice panicked. "Anna, it's Pierce." "She's alive, leading Randall's men from the hills." Anna's blood froze, her voice raw. "Pierce? We exposed her." The mayor's survival was a gut punch, her arrest a ruse to lure them here. Margaret's sob choked, her voice fierce. "They tricked us, Anna." Rachel's hand shook, her voice steel. "Pierce swore to protect our town." "She's a monster." Grace's flashlight swept Randall's gear, revealing a microchip with a new feed. Lily's room, a nurse slipping a syringe into her bottle. "Another dose," Grace screamed, her voice breaking. "They're drugging her now." Anna's pistol snapped up, her voice fierce. "We're pinned." More guards poured in, 15, armed, closing the circle. Storm lunged, disarming a knife, protecting Margaret, while David's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Rachel's voice was desperate, clutching Storm's leash. "Don't let them win!" Randall's eyes gleamed, his voice cold. "You're too late, Harper. Lily's gone." Anna's scream was primal, Storm's loyalty her anchor. Sirens roared, FBI trucks storming the safe house, floodlights cutting the rain. Margaret secured Randall, her face set, blood seeping from her leg. "We've got him, but Pierce is loose." Anna grabbed the burner phone, her voice fierce. "This name's Pierce's empire. We're close." But her tears fell, her voice raw. "Lily's slipping, David." "We've got to get to her." Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a vow to protect. The safe house was secure, but Pierce's shadow loomed, Lily's life and Storm's pack on the line, and their desperate fight was their only hope. The Wisconsin sun spilled golden warmth over Clover Hollow's town square, where locals, rangers, and news crews gathered for a ceremony celebrating a hard-fought victory over a sinister poaching cartel. Anna Harper stood on the modest stage, her brown hair neatly pinned, a clean sweater replacing the bloodied wool from the safe house raid where Storm had unmasked Victor Randall as a key player in Mayor Ellen Pierce's Project Aurora. Beside her, Lily Harper, 10, her blonde hair tied back, a bright hoodie vibrant against her pale cheeks, clutched a stuffed dog, her smile shy but genuine. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, sat proudly at Lily's side, his scarred muzzle calm, his brown eyes vigilant, his black coat gleaming. Once a wounded stray, Storm's courage had saved Lily and exposed a global trafficking network. David Harper, 38, his black hair combed, his leather jacket crisp, stood nearby, pride in his eyes as Lily giggled, her recovery a miracle. The square buzzed with hope, but Randall's warning, Pierce's untouchable, and Pierce's escape cast a lingering shadow. Anna gripped the podium, her voice steady but thick with emotion. "Storm didn't just save Lily, he saved our family," she said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Lily's hand in hers. His loyalty broke through lies, and Lily's bravery showed us what trust means. This is your story, too, about fighting for those who can't fight alone. The crowd cheered, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading Storm's Haven. Anna's throat tightened, her duty to Storm and Lily now a badge of honor. Lily's voice, "Storm's our hero," burned bright. Storm's whine was soft, his nose nudging Lily, who giggled, her fear of dogs gone. Lily took the mic, her voice clear but trembling. "Storm saved me from a snake. He's my best friend." The German shepherd tilted his head, licking her hand, the crowd awing, many wiping tears. Anna knelt, hugging her, her voice cracking. "You're my miracle, Lily. You and Storm gave us hope." Lily hugged Storm, whispering, "You're the best dog ever." The air thrummed with unity, Clover Hollow reborn through a girl and her guardian. David joined, holding a plaque, his voice warm but shaky. Storm's a legend, and Lily's his spark. Storm's Haven will rehab canines and families because of them. He pinned the plaque to Storm's collar, the crowd roaring, kids waving signs. Storm saves. Lily, still weak from sedation, sent a video message from the safe house, her soft voice clear. "Thank you, Storm." Anna's chest swelled, but doubt gnawed. "Margaret, we got Randall, but Pierce is out there. Is Lily safe?" Storm's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing her unease. Margaret's smile was fierce. "We're close, Anna. Storm started this, and we'll finish it." Grace Carter, 30, a journalist, approached, her files heavy, her voice steady. "Feds are raiding kennels. Brazil, China." Pierce's partner, codenamed Viper, is a federal agent tied to the cartel. "We've got leads." She nodded at Storm, awe shining. "This dog's why Tommy, Ellie, and so many are safe." "He's a miracle." The crowd applauded, but Anna's gaze drifted to Lily, her heart heavy. The text's warning, Viper's shadow, Lily still a target. A familiar figure stepped forward, Tommy, 11, holding a toy bone, his dog saved by Storm's pack. "Storm's like my pup," he said, voice shy, tossing the bone. Storm caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing, Tommy's joy infectious. Lily hugged him, her voice bubbly. "Storm saves everybody!" Anna's tears fell, her voice a whisper. "You're changing lives, Lily." David's hand squeezed hers, his voice fierce. "You both are, Anna." The ceremony buzzed, kids petting Storm, locals sharing stories, the fund soaring. Grace pulled Anna aside, her voice low. "We found a name. Viper's agent David Holt. He's in Clover Hollow planning a final shipment." Anna's heart sank, the twist chilling. Holt had led Storm's pack's rescue, vowing justice. "He was there," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He used their escape." Grace's radio crackled. A Fed's update. Holt's signal pinged at the old mill, planning a data wipe. "We're moving." Storm's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the crowd's edge, a man in a dark jacket slipping away, unnoticed by most. Anna's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. "He's one of Holt's, isn't he?" Lily clung to Storm, her small voice fierce. "Storm'll find him, Mom, like he found the snake." The twist deepened. A volunteer, Karen Pierce, a local vet, approached, offering Lily a juice box, her smile too sharp. Storm's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at Karen, pinning her to the ground, snarling but controlled. Anna's scream pierced the air, her voice fierce. "Get away from her!" Margaret tackled Karen, her knife drawn, finding a hidden burner phone in her purse, buzzing with a text. Viper's orders, "Take the girl." The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Rachel cuffed Karen, her face grim. "She's a mole, feeding Holt intel. We're closer." Lily's tears fell, her voice a sob. "Why me, Mom?" Anna hugged her, her voice breaking. "Because you're our light, Lily, and Storm's our strength. They can't win." Storm's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Karen, his instincts unerring. Margaret's voice was fierce despite her bandaged leg. "We've got Holt's trail, Anna. Karen's phone has his location, a mill facility tonight." Rachel's eyes blazed, her voice steady. "We end this, Anna, for Lily." The celebration paused, agents forming a perimeter, the crowd hushed. Anna's phone buzzed. A video from Lily's safe house monitor, her tiny hand waving, whispering, "Storm, you saved me." Anna's heart leapt, her voice raw. "She's awake, David. Lily's fighting." David's tears fell, his voice fierce. "Then we fight too, for her." Lily hugged Storm, her small voice defiant. "You'll save everyone, won't you, Storm?" Storm's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a promise to protect. The ceremony resumed, but Anna's fire, the spark Lily and Storm had lit, was unstoppable, a beacon for the battle ahead. The Wisconsin sunset bathed Clover Hollow's newly opened Storm's Haven in a warm golden glow, its sprawling fields alive with the joyful barks of rescued dogs and the laughter of children. Anna Harper stood at the sanctuary's heart, her brown hair catching the breeze, a clean sweater replacing the bloodied wool from the mill facility raid where Storm had exposed Agent David Holt as Viper, the mastermind behind Mayor Ellen Pierce's Project Aurora poaching cartel. Beside her, Lily Harper, 10, her blonde hair tied in a ponytail, a bright hoodie vibrant, tossed a ball, her smile radiant. Storm, the 5-year-old black German shepherd, bounded after it, his scarred muzzle proud, his brown eyes soft yet vigilant, his black coat gleaming. Once a wounded stray, Storm's courage had saved Lily, dismantled a global trafficking network, and healed a fractured family. David Harper, 38, his black hair neat, his leather jacket crisp, stood nearby, pride in his eyes, as Lily laughed, her recovery a miracle. The sanctuary pulsed with hope, but Holt's final text, "Aurora lives, girl dies," hinted at a shadow still lurking. Anna took the mic, her voice heartfelt. "Storm didn't just save Lily, he saved our souls," she said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Lily's hand in hers. "His loyalty broke through betrayal, and Lily's bravery taught us to trust. This is your story, too, about the bonds that heal us." The crowd roared, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading Storm's Haven. Anna's throat tightened, her duty to Storm and Lily, a beacon of purpose. Lily's voice, "Storm's our hero," was a spark of light. Storm's whine was soft, his nose nudging Lily, who giggled, her fear gone. Lily stepped up, her voice ringing. "Storm saved me from a snake. He's my best friend." The German shepherd licked her hand, the crowd cheering, many wiping tears. Anna knelt, hugging her, her voice cracking. "You're my miracle, Lily. You and Storm gave us back our family." Lily hugged Storm, whispering, "You're the best dog ever." The air hummed with unity. Clover Hollow reborn through a girl and her protector. David joined, holding a medal, his voice warm. "Storm's a legend, and Lily's his light. Storm's Haven will rehab canines and families because of them." He pinned the medal on Storm's collar, the crowd erupting, kids waving signs, "Storm saves." Lily tossed another ball, Storm leaping, his joy infectious. Anna's chest swelled, but fear lingered. "Rachel, we got Holt, but that text, is Lily safe?" Storm's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing her unease. Rachel's smile was fierce. "We're close, Anna. Storm started this, and we'll keep fighting." Grace Carter, 30, a journalist, approached, her badge glinting, her voice steady. "Feds are dismantling Aurora. Arrests in China, Mexico, beyond. Holt's files exposed Viper's empire." She nodded at Storm, awe shining. "This dog's why Ellie, Tommy, and so many are safe. He's changed everything." The crowd applauded, but Anna's gaze drifted to Lily, her heart heavy. The text's warning, a new shadow. Lily, still vulnerable. A familiar figure approached. Ellie, 9, holding a toy bone, her dog saved by Storm's pack. "Storm's like my pup," she said, voice shy, tossing the bone. Storm caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing, Ellie's joy infectious. Lily hugged her, her voice bubbly. "Storm saves everybody." Anna's tears fell. her voice a whisper. "You're making miracles, Lily." David's hand squeezed hers, his voice fierce. "You both are, Anna." The celebration buzzed, kids petting Storm, locals sharing stories, the fund soaring. Grace pulled Anna aside, her voice low. "We traced the text. A new codename, Spectre, Holt's mentor, still free, tied to a global syndicate. He's vanished, but we're hunting." Anna's heart sank, the twist chilling. Spectre had funded Storm's pack's rescue, probing about Aurora. "He planned this," Anna whispered, her voice trembling. "Lily was always his target." Grace's radio crackled. A Fed's update. Spectre's signal pinged in Madison, planning a new shipment. "We're moving." Storm's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the sanctuary's edge, a woman in a dark scarf, slipping away unnoticed by most. Anna's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. "She's one of them, isn't she?" Lily clung to Storm, her small voice fierce. "Storm will find her, Mom, like he found me." The twist deepened. A volunteer, Linda Walsh, approached, offering Lily a water bottle, her smile too tight. Storm's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at Linda, pinning her to the ground, snarling but controlled. Anna's scream pierced the air, her voice fierce. "Get away from her!" David tackled Linda, his knife drawn, finding a hidden microchip in her purse, buzzing with a text. Spectre's orders, take the child. The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Rachel cuffed Linda, her face grim. "She's a courier, feeding Spectre intel. We're closer." Lily's tears fell, her voice a sob. "Why me, Mom?" Anna hugged her, her voice breaking. "Because you're our hope, Lily, and Storm's our strength. They can't win." Storm's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Linda, his instincts unerring. Margaret's voice was fierce. "We've got Spectre's trail, Anna. Linda's chip has his next drop. Madison Port, tomorrow." Rachel's eyes blazed, her voice steady. "We end this, Anna, for Storm's pack." Anna took the mic, her voice heartfelt. "Storm's story is about healing, trusting the instincts that guide us, the bonds that save us. It's yours, too." "What's your story with a loyal pet?" She smiled at Lily, who tossed another ball. Storm leaping, the crowd cheering. "Join Storm's Haven. Help us save canines and communities, one heart at a time." David raised a glass, his voice carrying. "To Lily, Anna, and Storm, Clover Hollow's soul." The crowd toasted, kids mobbing Storm, Anna's laughter mingling with Lily's. Grace handed her a letter from Ellie, her handwriting shaky. "Storm's my hero. Thank you, Lily." Anna's tears fell, clutching it, Storm's nose on her hand. "You knew, boy," she whispered, kissing his head. The celebration faded, but Anna's fire, the spark Lily and Storm had lit, was eternal, a beacon for the battles ahead. Subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Leave a like and share your thoughts below.